Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of Tech Reviews Nope, and today I am going to help you pick out the perfect internet type for your home or business. And as far as things goes, we're going to focus on DSL and cable modems. Now, as far as everything else goes, I'm going to be using cruel drawings like this. I'm not selling art, so it doesn't matter as long as you understand. But as things goes, I'm going to be I'm trying to not go into too many technical terms, but I have to explain the security and why one system's more secure than the other and what happens. Now, as far as things goes, let's talk about DSL first. DSL is where if you plug in your internet into the phone jack. Say, for example, if you plug in your either Wi-Fi or cable modem or whatnot, or a computer into the phone jack, and as long as it does not dial out, it's DSL. DSL goes through the telephone lines. This is important to note, because what happened back in the day is, I think it's 50s, 60s or whatnot, they when one person picked up a telephone in a given neighborhood, then pretty much anyone in that neighborhood that was talking on the phone previously, you can listen to their conversation. Plus, on top of that, if someone was on a telephone, that means you can't call out. So your next door neighbor could be on the telephone, and you might want to call out for emergency or whatever, and you're screwed because you can't call out until they shut up and hang up. So that's important to note, because we don't have that problem anymore today. And it's due to switchboard, so you have technically a dedicated line per household in all technicality. So that being said, because of that and some other stuff, it's slightly more secure than cable modem, and I'll explain why slightly. It's still hackable, it's still whatnot, but it's more secure. Now, as far as how does the DSL work, you have a office. You must be within a given distance of this office. This does not have to be a central hub. This office could send out a signal to a central hub. So let's say right here is the office, then each one of these blocks are houses. As long as you're within a good distance, then fine. The closer you are, the better you are, because the further you are from the office, the worse your signal is going to be, and it costs money to boost up the signal for repeaters and whatnot. Now, as far as things goes, let's say that this is the office you're connected to. This is another office that this office has connected to, and this office is connected to the hub. So this means both of these offices are connected to this office. Now, as far as things goes, the signal needs a booster every 2 to 5 miles. These offices could be further apart from each other, but chances are you got one every 12 miles or so, and that's a good thing to note. And if you're somewhere between there, or if they got further out or something like that, then that's something that you might want to note. But these offices could be manned or unmanned. Most likely it's just a building with a gate around it and a couple trucks and stuff around them once in a while, and some equipment. Possibly an office for calls, but nothing really else. I mean, obviously in a building is servers and network stuff, but there's nothing really, anything in there, and it's mostly an office so the company itself can go out and install and make sure everything's working if they got to do repairs. That's pretty much it. Now, with this being said, a system uses a security system, and this is quite important. Many people with DSL networks complain, and this is a big thing I have, is they complain where the internet is not downgraded over time, it's actually completely going off. So where majority of people out there complain that their internet gets slow at points, which happens due to multiple reasons, both within your internet provider, within your house, or within the site that you're looking up. There's multiple things that can go wrong. But more than not, a lot of people complain about their internet completely shutting off. This is quite important because what happens is the central office looks for several things. It looks for, are you a subscriber? Is your thing secure? How much time has passed? And etc. Now, with this means, in case this, means something, and it doesn't. It's just a representative because I'm not spelling out the whole word because it's already messy as this. But anyways, with this being true, all true, it lets you stay on the internet. If any of these things are false, or a combination, then you lose the privilege of having the internet. So let's say that everything's true, being you got your computer secure, so it's not infecting their system. You are a subscriber, meaning that you have the hardware and whatever else they're looking for, but the time it took for your stuff to respond took a little too long. They'll give you a false. This being that, and unfortunately I gotta bring up some physics. It takes a billionth of a second for light to travel, and all these speeds are traveling at a speed of light. And by the way, broadband is another, I think it's another name for DSL. But all these signals are traveling at speed of light, or just about. So we're talking about, I think the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second or something like that. But so you're talking about a billionth of a second is 1 foot. So what happens is each one of these has to process the information, so they ping out, and some repeaters, they got processing information. It takes an extra billionth of a second, or maybe 4 billionth of a second. Same thing with this. It might take longer or shorter. So by the time that you get it, you, not including the distance, you might have a lag of maybe 20 billionths of a second or more, or even a I don't know, a full second to 10 seconds. I don't know. But as far as this goes, whatever they set for the time to hear back, being I don't know, say it takes you to get the signal 2 seconds, and they said that it needs to hear it back for 1 second is the max. Then and it took 2 seconds just to get to you, it's going to be false. Obviously this is not the case because it'll be false all the time, but this can change depending on your network, on how many people's using it. This does bog it down, which actually hurts you being the furthest away. So as far as things go, say it takes 2 seconds for it to get you, they put a second loop saying that it doesn't hear back from you. You still get that signal, that last little bit of signal, and then it sends it out, and by the time that it gets it and reactivates your internet saying, oh, it's true, then you got that little blip, that little blip, or whatever you want to call it, the glitch of the thing turn off for a couple seconds, maybe ruining your video that you're watching, maybe doing something else, maybe dragging down the internet for something. So that's pretty important. Now how this works is actually by the offices. So what happens is, while it can send a signal out from, say for example, it gets a signal out and, oh, you really are a subscriber, your stuff's secured, and we got a signal back. So it'll send a signal out to your local office. Your local office, say this is your house, your local office will say, okay, let's turn it back on, because it turns off from the local office so you don't get an internet signal. But let's say, oh, you got it, everything's good, and it got a signal back. let's turn it back on. That's an important thing to note because you can screw with other people's internet very easily. Say this is your neighborhood and you don't like this guy, and you knew how the inside of the system works by hacking into it or maybe even working there. You can actually send a signal out from your house and give it that signal saying to turn off, because it gives a signal out, say turn off this person, which turns off your internet. But say you don't like this guy, you can actually send a signal out and mess with it to think it's a incoming signal, and it turns the signal off, and that guy won't know jack until he checks it. And even then, most likely it'll be hours before he figures it out, saying that the internet's off. And you will not get blamed, or you shouldn't, unless it repeatedly happens and they check onto it. And that's important to note, because if you're malicious enough, you can actually send a signal out to this office, mess with the internal data software, and send out viruses to each individual and corrupt their systems to give you full access or whatever you want. And that's very important to note. You can also mess with everybody's internet to shut it off and whatnot. Keep in mind, this is, I think, is a federal offense, but it is possible. And I'm be honest, there's really no way to actually tell if someone's messing with you, or if you're, let's say for example, you're this guy again. You get a virus. Did you get it from one of these guys, or did you get it from the internet itself? There's really no way to know unless if you worked here and actually are monitoring it while it's happening, or if there's some residual information in there, or the guy screwed up when he's switching the stuff over from his house. Now, this being said, because it's a virtual system, and given that you don't work here, you can actually, it's actually a lot harder to mess with people. So people can still hack into your stuff, and you won't know the difference. But it's harder. It's a lot harder, but it's still possible. And by it being possible, the person could be doing it for years and years, and you won't know the difference. Now, as far as things goes, let's get into the cable. Now, as far as the cable goes, it's what I would say kind of less secure, but there has been times where cable companies have to actually shut down a person's access due to viruses on their computer or affecting others by some other means. So that's important to note, that they can monitor it more easily. And if you're doing it maliciously, obviously you probably will get away with it for a short time, but again, it's a federal offense, and that's something that you don't want to keep up. Now, as far as things goes, let's use this top bar, this top diagram, to show the cable. The cable infrastructure is basically this. It's going from some type of office or something, and you are all tapped into the same line. This is how TV works. As far as things goes, what's happened back in the day is there is some switchboard within the TV thing. So if you start paying for some pay-per-view or something like that, you can actually get, this house gets the pay-per-view, but none of these others. So there's that. But it's not that strong. It's easily hackable or messable, whatever you want to use as far as the terminology. And that's why you probably heard of or even seen someone pirate TV by just simply hooking up the back of their TV to the thing and get free TV for a while. Now, that's the reason why you actually got set-top boxes now, because the set-top boxes, what happens is while everybody's on the same line, if you don't have the set-top box, then the thing won't send a signal to your TV, or at least should send you a degraded signal. And let's say that you got the signal and the set-top box. There can also be something outside the house to help out a cable company, which most likely there is nowadays. But as far as the set-top box and the thing outside the house, there's serial numbers and whatnot. So if the cable company can look at the serial number and say, does this serial number match up with this subscriber? If yes, turn on their stuff and do this, turn on these channels. If no, then no. So again, there's probably something outside of the house between the road and the house itself that allows the cable company to see this. But this is what the cable internet providers use. So the cable internet providers use one line going to multiple houses. This creates two things. Instead of sending a bottleneck line like this, which can slow down due to the amount of each going through one spot. Again, this goes through one spot, but the signal, keep in mind, like I said, if everybody here, which is the same distance as from here, then if they send out a signal at the exact same time, it can actually crash this entire system, where it can't if they send out a signal at the exact same time. The reason is given that, say, we got two houses right here, and there are two houses here. Again, with physics, a billionth of a second deal. If the signal was sent from here to the road, also here from the road, at the billionth of a second, that means that this just got to the road, so the amount of distance between here and here matters, so it won't get overloaded. And the fact is both of these systems is most likely they're rated much higher than what they should be able to handle, at least the proper internet providers. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that shouldn't happen even if everybody did that, even if everybody sent a signal out at the same time, and demanding signal at that. But still, it's safer on that aspect. Another thing is it's more reliable, because here's the thing with DSL internet, the system, like I said, it shuts off you or whatever from the server. So that means all these people in your neighborhood may be getting internet, but you're not. Now, how do you know if it's you're in or they're in? You don't. All you know is, like, you can troubleshoot it all the way down to the wires going out of the house, but who has the time or machines or anything to do that? The technicians that install it into the house, they barely have the understanding of how to even do that in the first place, if they have the understanding at all. So most likely that's not going to happen, and they're going to say, oh, it's your end, whatnot, when really it's their end, and all they have to do is flip the switch and, oh, it is our end. But that's one thing to keep in mind, is you can be out of internet while on here. Everyone can be out of internet. So if someone nicks a line out here, or something happens, then everybody can be out of internet. However, if someone nicks a line to this house will be out of internet only, just like this. But you can see the nick. It's a physical thing in front of your house or apartment or whatever, so you can see it. It's not a joking matter at that point, as far as finding out. So that's one thing to keep in mind, where you have a less chance. Let's put it this way: if you go on vacation or something and you got some stuff that's internet dependent, if you're on a DSL network, then there's a high chance that your house could be without internet and won't get it back until you come out of vacation. Whereas here, there's a high chance that someone within here is going to report it. I mean, unless every last house went on vacation at the same time, or decided to stop using the internet all at the same time, and then chances are someone here will report that the internet's not working, which is kind of important. So that's it's more reliable in that aspect, and that you will keep your internet on. Now, as far as things goes, the thing can still shut off your internet if your thing says false to one of those things, but it's less likely, and I mean by extreme amount. I've been around both things for a while, and I've seen it happen on both, but I've seen it less on cable modems than the DSLs. Mostly because cable modems, a lot of the time what happens is, try to draw out something real quick. Say this is your neighborhood, it's the next neighborhood and whatnot. What happens is, what will happen, sorry for repeating, but I have to buy some time to draw this out, but you have a highway, a literal or metaphorical highway, whatever carries the internet, being above or below ground. You have the neighborhood 1 being, say, this neighborhood, neighborhood 2, so on. They will all be jacked into one thing, and this will go to a database, whatever, at some distance. Chances are is this is not an office to repeat the signal. They might have something underground, especially if it's fiber optics, to repeat the signal, but that's not going to delay it by that much. And chances are is you're getting a signal directly to your house. So if it asks one of those questions, are you a subscriber? Being, do you have the right stuff? A modem box, and some other stuff. Yes. Is your stuff secure? Or at least doesn't think it's secure? Yes. And so on. And if all those come out yes, then it's going directly to the actual thing. That's important to note. While this goes to an office, and if this office is not well maintained, because the entire system may be well maintained on a DSL, but this office, if it's not well maintained, or say for example, like in the previous one, where this would be your office or home, this be your first office, and then the second office. Say your office is well maintained, but the following office or so on is not well maintained, then you will lose out, and you will lose out on data amount, and you will lose out on your internet not being reliable, staying on. So that's very important to note that on this deal. But as far as things goes, again, you're trading reliability for security. It's much easier, as you may imagine, to get into a system like this and really screw with people. But something to keep your system secure, because your system can go nuts. I mean, eventually everyone's going to link into the same place and get the same stuff. And you probably should have a antivirus thing on there in the first place. So anyways, this is pretty much a basic explanation on the difference between a DSL and a cable provider. Again, if you're using a phone line, it's DSL. If you're using a this is important because some houses might not even have phone jacks, because who uses a phone nowadays? A house phone. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people, but I know of a lot of people, and this including myself, who hadn't touched a hard line for years, and we're talking about 10 years. But as far as this goes, I personally prefer the cable modem over the other, because the reliability, also in my area, is cheaper. It's cheaper by far, and they're more workable. Whereas these guys, the company that I have for DSL, I don't want to name their company because they might change in the future, but they are not workable. Plus, they got horrible. They actually try to scam you by saying it's your end, when you can actually go out your way and prove to them and talk to them and tell them that they're wrong. They will actually go out their way and ignore all that stuff. I've actually fought with them on that before, and it's a pain. But I'm pretty sure the same thing can happen with a cable company too, and everything else. But anyways, hopefully that this helped you, and if it has, please like, please subscribe, and please share it to help me out and to help my channel and whatnot grow. And please check out techreviewsandhelp.com. If you got any questions, or if you felt that I left anything out or whatnot, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, given it's a question. And if the question's good enough, I might even make a video on it and give you a shout out. So anyways, again, this has been Craig Bennett, the founder and owner of Tech Reviews and Up, and I hope you have a great day.